Lesson 2.7, Solving Proportions. Proportion, an equation that states that two ratios are equal. For example, A over B equals C over D, where B does not equal 0 and D does not equal 0 is a proportion. You read this as A is to B as C is to D. Cross products. In a proportion, A over B equals C over D, the products AD and BC. Cross products. These products are equal. If two ratios are equal and a quantity in one of the ratios is unknown, you can write and solve a proportion to find the unknown quantity. Problem 1. What is the solution of the proportion 7 over 8 equals m over 12? So we can treat this as a one-step equation. We could just multiply both sides by the reciprocal, or solving this proportion is similar to solving a one-step equation. You can simply multiply each side by 12 because it's the opposite of dividing by 12. And 12 as a fraction is 12 over 1. 12 times 7 is 84. 1 times 8 is 8. And then you just simplify or divide. 84 divided by 8 equals 10.5. That would be solving the proportion, thinking it as a one-step equation. However, we can also solve proportions using the cross products property, okay? The cross products of a proportion are equal, just like we saw in the vocab. This is just the same definition. With numbers, 3 over 4 equals 9 over 12. If we cross multiply 3 times 12 equals 4 times 9, you can see 3 times 12 is 36. 4 times 9 is also 36. That's why cross products are equal. Problem 2. What is the solution of the proportion 4 over 3 equals 8 over x? Similar to the problem you just saw, but now you can use the cross products property to get rid of fractions, because we all know that you guys hate fractions, and to solve for x. So if we cross multiply, 4 times x equals 3 times 8, and we can just simplify this. 4 times x is 4x, equals 3 times 8 is 24. And now you can just treat this as a one-step equation, divide both sides by 4, and you get x equals 6. Problem 3. What is the solution of the proportion b minus 8 over 5 equals b plus 3 over 4? This is a multi-step proportion, just like we saw with multi-step equations. We started with one-step, two-step, and then we went to multi-step equations. Same thing with proportions. But the cross products property is true for any proportion. It works for anything. Treat each numerator as a single variable when you cross multiply. So think of b minus 8 as one quantity and b plus 3 as another quantity. So we are going to cross multiply. B minus 8 times 4 equals 5 times b plus 3. Distribute. Make sure you distribute all of the terms. 4 times b is 4b. 4 times 8 is 32 minus 32 equals 5 times b is 5b. 5 times 3 is 15. Now you just treat this as a multi-step equation with variables on both sides. Bring the variables to the left, letters to the left. So in order to do that, we have to bring the 5b to the left-hand side. We have to subtract 5b from both sides. 4b minus 5b is negative 1b minus 32 equals 15. Bring the numbers to the right, so we have to add 32 to both sides. Negative 1b equals 15 plus 32 is 47. And finally, divide both sides by negative 1, so you get b equals negative 47. Now let's do some by ourselves, all right? So we have number 1, x over 7 equals 4 over 5. I'm going to do number 1. Your job is to do number 3, and then we'll do your job is to do number 2, and I'll show you how to do number 3. So, I'm going to use the cross products for number 1. I don't really like treating this as a one-step equation, so I'm going to do cross products. So I'm going to say 5 times x equals 7 times 4. 5 times x is 5x. 7 times 4 is 28. divide both sides by 5. X is equal to 28 over 5. We cannot simplify this fraction any further, so just leave it like that. Okay? So based off what I just did for number 1, you should copy this down on the back of your notes template. I want you to try number 2 on your own, and then after that, I want you to press play again so we can look at number 3. So number 3 says n over 5 equals 2n plus 4 over 6. So I'm going to treat the numerators as their own quantities, and I'm going to use the cross products. So I'm going to say 5 times 2n plus 4 equals n times 6. Distribute over here. 5 times 2n is 10n plus 5 times 4 is 20, and n times 6 is 6n. I'm going to bring the letters to the left, subtract 6n. Remember, you can only subtract and add with like terms. So we have 10n minus 6n is 4n plus 20 equals, we have nothing on the right-hand side, so we're going to say 0. We have to bring the numbers to the right, so we're going to subtract 20 from both sides. (4n) equals 0 minus 20 is negative 20. And finally, we're going to divide both sides by 4. And negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. And remember, you can always check your answers by just substituting the original equation or the original proportion with the value that you got to check that the left-hand side is equivalent to the right-hand side. Again, if you didn't try number 2 yet, I want you to try number 2 because I'm going to ask for your solutions or for your answers tomorrow when you guys come to class. See you tomorrow.